What's up guys, it's Daveincid with a new video about my latest increased Realism Megapack-Update. I have summarized all the changes in this video as well as a brief explanation of the in-game effects. It takes a little longer, but that gives you more time to subscribe my channel and hit the like button. You can find the update on most of the big fan sites like FM Scout, FM Base, Sortie Tootsie, FM Inside, in the SE forum or the Meistertrainer forum for the Germans. Let's get started. This file improves the balance of the new gens. Yes, new gens, not regens. The values are based on many criteria such as the Human Development Index, the population of a country, the popularity of football, the success of a national team and the EU national teams, the record number of spectators in relation to the number of residents and the size of the available stadiums, and many more. The result is that you will get fewer world-class talent and a better global distribution. If you ever find a new gen with a PA over 190, then you have one thing above everything else: luck. It is now also becoming more difficult to lure top talent away from other teams because there are simply fewer of them. The file also helps smaller counties to a certain extent by giving them greater scope for development. Certain counties have more leeway and others are already close to the maximum, one way or another. The goal is clearly to increase realism, so the chance of finding good players in exotic countries is still very small, but it is not 0%. It's definitely one of my favorite files. Good luck with scouting. Version 2.6 contains many improvements, especially when used in combination with DaveTheEditor's Around the World Megapack. I will link his file into the description. I've worked with him closely and I highly recommend it. You will notice one thing above all the others with the top players: they earn considerably more. The effect is particularly evident after 2 or 3 years. Salaries beyond the 30 million are not uncommon for players like Mbappe. In my opinion, the FM is far too conservative by default. You will see the effect in so many countries. In Ghana, for example, default the salaries are way too high. I researched all salaries and with my files it looks like this. Incidentally, this is Ghana from the Megapack from DaveTheEditor. Real league structure, real squad registration rules, and, in cooperation with me, youth academies, which really produce new gens year for year. Not only in Ghana, it's available in so many other nations as well. The market values have been adjusted in such a way that the resulting transfer fees correspond more closely to real values. That was only possible through hours of testing. The sponsorship deals have been adjusted to the extent that they correspond to the maximum possible growth that I have calculated. Even if you win the Champions League, poor countries have limited growth. Most sponsors are networked locally or nationally, so the sponsorship power not only but strongly dependent on the general economic performance of a nation. In this file I have entered the current values of currencies in 123 nations. You will see the greatest impact in Venezuela. Due to their currency crisis, it is not only football that is suffering brutally there. Argentina is also badly affected. Version 1.1 also contains adjustments for North Korea and Syria in order to be able to represent them more realistically. I don't think footballers in North Korea make 100k or more in a year. This file lowers the gap slightly between the top nations and all other nations in Europe. I have also adjusted the values slightly upwards outside of Europe. This increases the competitiveness a little and should in turn correspond more to reality. This file brings the cash flow into Football Manager, which cannot be included due to legal issues. I will not go into it much further, I hope everyone is clear what I'm talking about. In order to better represent the financial situations of clubs, all transfers are subject to a transfer tax. This tax even exists in some countries. Above all, this tax prevents clubs that buy cheap and sell very high. Without this file, these teams will then also buy expensive, pay much higher salaries, etc. in the future, which does not correspond to reality. All countries have received this tax, but the amount varies widely. To get you a better idea of what the tax is standing for, here are some ideas. It can stand for the generally poor financial presentation by default, general transfer costs, unknown receivers of money, like third parties, etc., and other contract bonuses like houses, cars for the players. This file seems a little controversial. Welcome to the 21st century of football. This is now something personal. I started Patreon due to my personal situation. Due to my disabilities, I am unable to work constantly or in the first market at all. This project gives me some kind of I can do something meaningful, which is really important to me. So you can have early access to my mega pack, beta access, or already at alpha stage. You can also have access to my list of recommended files for your save game. All these files have been tested for at least 5 years to make sure there won't be any crashes. There are also custom save games available which are fully prepared with all settings I recommend for a realistic save game. It would make me really happy if you take a look at it and maybe consider being my patron and support the work I'm doing. This file gives you a more accurate behavior of transfers. Most nations are linked together in some way. Version 2.2 contains smaller improvements. An example for Africa. The best players from Malawi are getting poached by Zambia due it's a better league and they are geographically close. If they are overperforming in Zambia, they might get transferred directly to Europe, but often they need to take a further step, so they get poached by the Democratic Republic of Congo. This league is again stronger and more in the focus of Europe and the biggest nations of Africa. So they might move to Tunisia, Egypt, South Africa or Morocco. This system is done for all 127 nations. I researched clubs which have a strong affinity for a specific nationality of players in the past and the present. This is now a criteria in visions of the club, so these clubs should buy more players from these nations. It will be in most cases a criteria of your board to follow these transfer preferences. It's part of their club philosophy. Version 1.3 also has some edits of Director of Football to further improve the behavior and transfer of these teams. I removed Red Bull Salzburg because it causes problems in combination with DaveTheEditor's Megapack. Red Bull Salzburg and Red Bull New York had a small mistake that they were enabled for a takeover through other investors. This file fixed this. In Switzerland, we have 4 main languages: German, French, Italian, and Retro-Roman. But Retro-Roman won't be represented in the game. By default, when a new gen gets generated, he is always capable of speaking all 3 languages fluently. I edited all regions and cities according to official sources. So for example, Basel, the mother language is 82% German, 5% Italian, 4% French and 9% English, instead of German, French and Italian all 100%. So it will look like this in the game. There are sugar daddies which have the option ticked in the editor to boost the starting balance when you start your save. The problem is that this will be for all seasons, so they will remain rich literally for the whole save, which is leading to an imbalance. This affects mainly China, but also some Russian teams. Version 1.1 contains further balancing improvements. I also included a small change for Wellington Phoenix, which is based in New Zealand but is playing in Australia. They are always deeply in the red as their travel costs are incredibly high, flying from New Zealand to Australia for every away game. They now receive a parachute payment from the government to avoid this issue. I made worldwide ticket adjustments to avoid that weak teams in financially poor nations are paying too high ticket prices, which causes several issues in terms of financial stability. Version 1.1 contains further improvements. Please note that ticket prices are a really tough task in Football Manager, because the game generates ticket prices as soon as you set a value too low in the editor, even if the value will be correct for a specific club. It makes it impossible to set the correct values in general. The main goal of this fix is to avoid way too high ticket prices. There is also a big chaos as soon as a club gets relegated or promoted. In some cases, a second division team has the highest price after their promotion. This is also the case in the default version. It simply happens less with my files, but it still occurs. I made corrections for 95 nations how they treat getting the citizenship of its nation. This includes the years which need to be spent in that nation, if nationality gain is accumulative or continuous, and whether or not dual nationalities are allowed. It was quite difficult to get it right as the sources vary at times. There are some interesting years included. Might be worth scrolling through the nations to find it out. This file was made by DaveTheEditor. Thanks mate for your help. It adds 24 agreements between nations. You can find this information in the National tab overview. I constantly improve this Megapack, but I need to reload my batteries a little, as this project was really stressful to me and I finally want to start a save too. But I'm planning to do a little explanation let's play where I show all the benefits of my Megapack and those of other creators as well. So stay tuned and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe. Cheers, Daveincid.